Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Damon Allred and Jesse Morrison. I'm Jeremy Schnell. Big week for Cam Scattaboo last week. On Saturday, he rushed for over 200 yards. And guys, you know what that means when you rush for over 200 yards? You win awards. You win a lot of awards. Listen, I don't know if he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, but Scat was Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, AP Player of the Week, and Doak Walker National Player of the Week. That's pretty cool, I would say.
Pretty good.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Is that good, Jesse?
Yeah, he had an unbelievable performance. Again, the best running back performance I've seen at Arizona State in a single game since Benjamin. Obviously, that is what the numbers say. He's second all time.
Rushing yards in the game.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they didn't.
Almost 300 all-purpose yards.
Yes. I'm glad they didn't factor in the fact that he didn't have a touchdown because it didn't really matter who scored there because he got the ball to where they needed to get it to score. So I'm happy that
you could make a case that he was the reason that they didn't blow the game the other day.
100%. That drive at the end of the game where he kind of said, "No, we're winning." That was all Cam Scattaboo. I think he was the reason they won in general. So well-deserved all three of these awards. And he's looking like a much improved player from a year ago.
We'll hope to see him a lot on Thursday as well. But
too much though.
Yeah,
not too
if
much.
there's
33 carries.
I mean, if there's too much workload from Saturday, we understand that some other guys could get some chances on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see what the carries look like on Thursday. Kyson Brown obviously is looks to be the number 2 back on this team right now. So I expect him to get some carries on Thursday, which we will get to that game in a second. But first, I mean, we're 2 games in, guys. Main takeaways. We're going to do one positive and a negative, each of us. May overlap, may not. We haven't talked to each other about our positives and negatives. Probably should have, maybe shouldn't have. I like to piggyback off of you guys. I think we all think pretty much the same when it comes to this team, except Damon, you're very high on this team.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Jesse, give me one of your negatives first.
Okay,
your one negative
first?
Yes. Yeah.
I think this one's pretty obvious. Just the accuracy from Sam Levitt. I think it needs to get better, especially on those deep throws. Last week, 10 of 20. Would just like to see more of a passing game develop, even though I am the run the damn ball guy. I think that a passing game being a little bit more effective, it's going to have to come and play at some point this season, and so far I'm not too confident in it. So that's really my negative that I'm taking away. The only real big negative that I'm taking away from the season so far.
Damon?
You want my negative first as well?
Yes.
Okay, my negative is the offensive line's ability to pass block. I'm noticing on a lot of these deeper dropbacks that Levitt is taking where they are looking for the deeper shots, he doesn't have a ton of time, which I think may play into some of the inaccuracy downfield. I'm not saying that it's on the offensive line at all. I've seen Sam make these throws well, and he's not making them in games, and that's something that needs to change. But I think that it would help if he had a little bit more time for him to just relax in the pocket and set up to throw, as opposed to having to think about, do I have to run around and create something with my legs?
My negative is I would like to see them get the playmakers outside of the running backs more involved. I'd like to see Jordan Tyson get the ball a little bit more. Malik McClain has been non-existent the first 2 weeks of the season. He had a lot of hype coming into this season. I'd like to see him get the ball, whether it be a wide receiver screen just to get the ball into both those guys' hands. I'd like to see both those guys get involved a little bit more. Jesse, positive.
Okay, my positive, the obvious one would be to go with the running game. I think that kind of stands out among all the positives this year. But what I'm really kind of pleasantly surprised with is their ability to force turnovers. We saw it in the game against Wyoming. We saw it in the game against Mississippi State. They've shown that they are able to score on 2 turnovers this year. So this team is 3 turnovers. Yeah, 3 turnovers this year. And so it's been that's been surprising to me. This team has kind of struggled for years being able to force turnovers. So it's very important to win football games. Kenny Dillingham has said that. So that's kind of my pleasant surprise positive that I'm taking away. And I think it could come in big in this upcoming game against Texas State that we'll get into here in a minute.
Yeah, my positive is funny enough, the negative was the pass blocking from the offensive linemen. The positive is the run blocking from the wide receivers.
Interesting.
Jordan Tyson and Xavier Guillory. I saw Jeremy Hawks, ASU SID, put out a tweet earlier today that Guillory and Tyson are 5th and 7th in the nation in run block snaps. And on that 39-yard run from Scat at the very end, it was Tyson and Guillory making incredible blocks to help pave the way for that run. And so I think that them being as good as they've been in the run blocking game, and that's almost 100% a credit to Hines Ward. I mean, that is something he emphasized from the second he got here as wide receivers coach. So it's great to see that.
I would say my positive is the run defense. The run defense was spectacular last week, and for week one also, I think it has to do a lot with the linebackers. Kashawn Elliott has been great wearing the green dot. It seems as if that is something that ASU is going to really benefit from throughout this season. Number one, the communication seems to have been pretty good in the first 2 weeks of the season. Number two, I think he's just a beast in the middle of the field, and I think that in terms of not just the defensive linemen, whether it's the defensive tackles and the outside, but also the linebackers in the middle, being able to stop the run has been spectacular. A lot of tackles for loss, especially on the first drives of the games. I guess it was the second drive because the first play of the game in week one, but the second drive of the game, they were able to get a stop against Wyoming. And I think spectacular job by the defensive line so far this season. I mean, like, if you want to really get into the weeds of things, you talked about the run blocking. I know we didn't bring up the running game in particular, but I mean, that obviously we're not going to just go with that because it has produced so well, but it's obviously been like the number one thing that has helped ASU to 2 victories this early in the season.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what we expected after just watching practice in the spring and in the fall. I think that's what we definitely thought was going to be the
and we wanted to give some other guys their flowers as well, because
exactly.
All the flowers are going to rightfully so. All the flowers are going to Cam Scadaboo after the week that he had,
and Sam Levitt on the ground like that. He's kind of become their secondary option running the football, which is cool.
Let's go to Texas State, guys. They're 2-0 as well, just like ASU.
They're good.
They're good. And listen, this is not a pushover. Early in the season, short week, they just had a huge win over UTSA. Never beaten UTSA in their history. First ever win against UTSA, and they pummeled them 49-10.
And it was Texas State head coach G.J. Kinney going up against the coach that he played quarterback for in high school. So getting a little revenge in that game, pretty cool to see.
Revenge is a strong word. I wouldn't say revenge.
Yeah, maybe not revenge, but
a personal victory for the head coach.
Little extra juice there. Kenny has talked about Kinney being a really good coach. Kenny has come from the Todd Graham staff, the Gus Malzahn staff, and so Kenny has a little bit of familiarity from those aspects. He talked about how Kenny has been doing a ton of like every single run scheme imaginable at Texas State, and they're so physical, and so it's really tough to stop them spread out like that.
Damon, that's a $1 fine.
Yeah, $1 fine.
Yeah, my bad.
This is I don't know if you've been on the podcast since when that's happened, but yes, we collect fines.
We have a fine system.
Yep.
Yeah, and at the end of the year, we will not collect the fines because we will forget.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It was interesting because they led 18-0 at the half in their first game of the season against Lamar, and then won only 34-27. Similar to what ASU went through last week against Mississippi State, Jesse.
Yeah, when I looked at that game against Lamar, I was like, okay, this is Lamar. Or they beat him by a touchdown, blew kind of a lead there. So are they actually a good team? And then they beat UTSA by 39 points, and UTSA has been a pretty good team in the past few years. So kind of my opinion on them was really high before the season, kind of like was I wrong? And then after this past week, I'm kind of back to, I think this is, and Kenny said this is the toughest team they've played so far this year, which is crazy given that they played an SEC team. I still think this team is considered, people are talking group of 5 playoff with this team. Being
they were talking about that with the UTSA before that game the other day on Saturday.
So yeah, this is a good team. Do not let Sun Belt,
the Fun Belt,
fool you. Yeah, don't let Sun Belt fool you. This is a very good football team. They have a very good quarterback as well, who might still hate ASU.
Jordan McLeod, he went to U of Arizona.
Let me get into this guy a little bit. So
let me say this. Texas State has done, over the past 2 seasons, a very good job with the transfer portal.
Yes.
And Jordan McLeod is one of those players that they brought in.
Jordan McLeod, he's the younger brother of NFL player Ray McLeod. He's in his 7th season of college football, so he's around the same age as Cam Rising. He turns 25 in November. This is his 4th school, which is crazy.
He's like 6 months older than me.
Yeah, it's wild. He went to USF starting in 2018. Then he went to Arizona for a couple of years. Then JMU last year, where he broke out.
10-0 start as a team.
And then Texas State this year. And last year, over 3,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 68% of his passes completed. He's kind of doing that has similar numbers so far this year. So in my opinion, and I know Blake Shapen is an SEC quarterback, and Damon has disagreed with me off air here, but but I think this is the best quarterback they're going to face this year, or not face this year, but have faced this year. So far.
Yeah, and Damon, the running back group for Texas State is no pushover either. Lincoln Perry had a very good game last week, 133 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it's really Ishmael Mahdi who is the lead back of that group.
Yeah, he's really, really tough. And like his ability to find holes and explode through them and be a weapon in the passing game as well. I mean, he's really good. The players that Texas State has, it's legitimately like, why are these people not in Power 4 schools? And Kenny said as much the other day, like, a lot of the talent on that team belongs on Power 4 schools just because of how good they all are.
That's just the kind of college football landscape that we're living in now, Jesse. Yeah. Now the 4 wide receivers to look out for: Joey Hubbard, Jaden Williams, Cole Wilson, and Chris Don Jr. All of them over 80 yards receiving last week.
No, this is for the season. I apologize there. I put the wrong. I forgot to clarify that it's the season on the show sheet. But these numbers are for the season.
Got it.
Still good though. Still very good.
So Perry did have 2 touchdowns last week though. That is something.
Correct. Yes, correct.
I did see that. But so the 4 wide receivers. Hubbard has been great. He has been their 2nd wide receiver, but Don Jr., he's 7 catches, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns so far. Listen, this offense is good. ASU is really going to have to hunker down, and they're going to get tested this week on the back end of the defense, Jesse.
Yeah, big play capability, numerous big plays over 30, 40 yards so far through the first 2 games of the season for Texas State. I didn't know if ASU was capable of giving up big plays, but then you saw that 80-yard play toward the end of the game last year against Mississippi State. So it can happen. ASU's really got to lock down and not let those big plays happen, because that could be where it really kills them. If Texas State's able to break those big runs or hit receivers over the top for touchdowns. Again, they have a good quarterback that can get the ball to his receivers, and a strong 4-headed monster at the wide receiver position.
Something that I noticed when I was watching the film from this game, Damon, is that the defense on Texas State really rallies to the football, and no one does that better than Ben Bell. He has 4 tackles for loss this season, 1.5 sacks. it's not just him that gets the job done. He has the numbers so far this season, but it seems like it's really a group effort by this defense. And, that worries me a little bit. Can ASU continue to get the running game going? Can that open up the pass? I think it's interesting to see.
Yeah, Kenny talked about how physical and how hard Texas State plays on defense. You really see it the way they crowd the line and create chaos at the line before, pulling some back into coverage or sending them all. They'll do either one. With Ben Bell, it's just he's reaping the benefits of all that extra help. I think really every zone on the field that you'll try to run at or throw to is going to have capable Texas State defenders just because of how deep they are and how well coached they are. They've got a really young defensive coordinator, and he's still just got them playing lights out football. It's really impressive how well they're playing.
Jesse, first road game for Sam Leavitt. Probably going to be a hostile environment.
Yeah.
A night game on the road Thursday night. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles that.
I really want to say again, they play in a stadium of around 30,000 people, but I know it was a rivalry game last week, but really good crowd there last week. It's Texas. They love their football down there. A Power 4 school coming in. I don't know how much Texas State in their history has gotten that. A home game against a Power 4. Again, prime time spot on ESPN. Matt Berry's going to be on the call, actually, former ASU student, alum, went to the Cronkite school that Jeremy and I went to. So that'll be interesting. But yeah.
Also, don't forget about our call here on Arizona Sports.
Of course. Of course. But
the game is just going to be an exciting one. It's going to be at night. I'm interested to see how Sam Leavitt carries himself in a hostile environment.
I agree. I think that'll be a good test. And he said he had some jitters, and that's why the deep ball accuracy might have not been there. So I expect the jitters maybe to be a little bit more ramped up this week. And the short week scares me just because of the workload of Cam Scadaboo. I think that this is a game where DeCarlos Brooks, Kyson Brown, they're gonna have to really step up. This might be the DeCarlos Brooks game. This might be the Kyson Brown game. This might be the game that they finally show what they're capable of through the air. So I think that this is gonna be a tough one. This will be a very, very tough one for ASU. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think if it's okay to get into keys now,
please.
I think one of the keys is going to be getting this downfield throwing to start clicking a little bit, just because of how much Texas State crowds the box and makes it hard to run on them. I think it's going to be really important that Sam throws downfield and softens up the back end of that defense. They've got some real guys on the secondary as well. 6'2" corner Josh Eaton is one who stood out to me in the UTSA game. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Sam holds up. They practiced with the noise today, so you're hoping that gets them a little bit more used to it.
I'm looking for the guys on offense, the leaders, to really step up. I'm looking for Lee Fontenot on that offensive line to really step up and bring the guys together. Hey, we're going into a hostile environment, short week. Let's get together. I'm sure Scadaboo is going to say a lot. So just some of the guys on that Pat Tillman Leadership Council to step up, bring the guys together and say, business trip, let's get it done.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose, even though they're a good Sun Belt team. You don't want to go into a Sun Belt stadium and lose like that. There's a lot of pride involved in this one for ASU, I think, and that'll probably come into play some. Do I think it'll lead to a victory? I don't know, but
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yes, exactly.
I think the biggest keys are going to be how they handle it, how they handle the hostile environment, and can they stop the offense of Texas State? Can the defense hunker down, stop the run game? We're going to start to see more from these defensive backs, because last week there were some missed tackles out there, and especially on that long touchdown that really got Mississippi State back into the game. So what can the defensive backs do to stop the wide receivers of Texas State?
I've kind of given my takes or my keys already, but I'll just kind of give blanket statement to wrap it up here. gotta stop the big plays, and then ASU needs some big plays through the air. That's how I think they win this game.
Predictions. Damon, you can go first. Give us a score, and who do you think is going to win?
I'm going to go 31-17 ASU.
Jesse?
I think ASU's going to lose this game. This is the one that I think they lose. Short week.
Short week for Texas State, too.
Yes, but
they won by a lot, and they got some of their players out of the game.
Yeah.
ASU had the chance to do that, but they didn't have a great second half.
And it's on the road, hostile environment. Sam Levitt's first start on the road. I think ASU loses this one 35-27.
I tend to agree with Jesse on this one. I think ASU, I've been saying all offseason that Texas State is a very good team. I'm worried about this game. Again, first road game, Jesse pointed that out. Hostile environment, we've been saying it a lot. It's going to be interesting to see how ASU handles it. Hey, surprise me. I hope they can pull it out, but I think it's just not going to happen. I'm going to go 27-21. Texas State ekes out a victory.
It's interesting. Last week I was the only one picking a loss, and I was wrong. This week I'm the only one picking a win, so we'll see if I'm wrong again.
Yeah, it could be whatever the opposite of whatever Damon says.
Yeah.
Let's go around Sun Devil Athletics before we get out of here. Volleyball is up to number 14 in the country right now with wins over UC Santa Barbara, San Diego, and St. John's over the weekend. Soccer won 2-1 over Utah Tech on Sunday. Carrie Matthews had a goal and an assist. They remain unbeaten at 5-2-0. They received 3 votes in the top 25. Let's get them ranked. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Rank ASU in every sport,
Yes.
IMO.
They got votes in we forgot to mention, they got votes in the AP poll this week.
For football?
Did they?
Oh, I thought they did. I'm sorry.
I don't think I saw it.
I think you told me that they didn't.
They didn't.
Okay.
Someone. I must have mistaken. I must have been dreaming about that. You know what?
You are dreaming.
I probably dreamt about that.
We're seeing the future from a week from then.
But I just wanted to say volleyball up to number 14. Again, what a turnaround that program has had under JJ Van Niel. Almost into the top 10. I'm really hoping they can get into the top 10. That would be...
Give them a blank check.
Yeah, that would be really...
We are the JJ Van Niel fan club on this show. You don't understand.
That would be...
Friend of the show, by the way.
Yeah,
We've had him on.
Show. We'll,
yeah.
we'll hopefully get him on again, once we're getting toward tournament time. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they can get into the top 10. Imagine an ASU program ranked in the top 10. It's been a while, other than with swimming, I believe.
Guard you.
Yeah. Check out the schedule over on the Sun Devil Athletics website. Show up, go to Mullet Arena or DFA, wherever they're playing on said match, and support the volleyball team because they are very good. And of course, the soccer team, unbeaten. Let's get them ranked.
Oh,
yes.
Can we talk for a second about the 11 games for ASU hockey that will be broadcast on Fox 10 this year?
That is correct.
Starting with the Michigan game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, my good friend Alex Coyle is on the broadcast for those.
Nice.
That's very good.
Network TV for hockey. Mm-hmm. Who would have thunk?
I mean, it's
the only hockey team in town.
It's the only hockey. It's the only.
It's the highest. It's the highest level of hockey in the valley.
Yeah,
there you go.
So why not have it on some local TV?
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media at AZ Sports Devils, and you can find every single podcast that we do on the Arizona Sports website, and as well as some of the podcasts will be on the Arizona Sports YouTube channel. Damon's articles are all on arizonasports.com and the Arizona Sports app. For Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We will talk to you after the game on Thursday.